So as we can see here from the OCG Metagame report, it's still dominated heavily by the fire decks, and it's 37%, but that's kind of misleading when you go down here and see that Snake Eyes is still another 3%. So it's really like it's closer to 40%. I'm also really surprised that Rescue Ace is nowhere around here. You'd think that Rescue Ace would have been somewhere around here, but maybe the Snake Eyes Pure deck and Fire King decks are just much better variants of the deck. So, okay, I guess that's how it is. Fire decks and then Branded. That's a surprise. I didn't expect to see Branded there. And then Voiceless, another good deck. Flu, no surprise to see Flu there. Flu's just a deck that plays shifters, so it's like the anti-meta. Okay, let's see. So a lot of Fire Kings. Oh, okay. This is what it is. It's 6 grass branded decks. Well, yeah, grass is like its own animal, I guess. Flu, Salamander, Snake Eyes. So, oh, one horror Snake Eye. Okay, I want to see the horror Snake Eye. I'm hoping they show that bit. Okay. Okay, the top 2 teams of the 25th YCS, Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship Series, or whatever. They're all running Sinful Spore, Snake Eyes, Fire King. I mean, that's at this point standard, really. Solemn Strike was in the side deck, while the runner-up team went for Judgment. Okay, so that's like Strike versus Judgment. Okay, Solemn Strike and Solemn Judgment play similar role in the mirror match for stopping Snake Eyes Ash. Okay, Solemn Strike could negate the and destroy the Ash effect when it activates. That actually is really good. Just being able to like blanket, it's like more copies of Ash Blossom, I guess, without having to use your Ash Blossom. And Judgment could negate the summon. I don't know if I would like Judgment negating the summon, because there's so many ways to play around it. So if they start with Diabell Star, you would have to Judgment the original, and if they have Bonfire or Snake Eyes Ash normal summon, they just follow up completely and stop you. See, I don't know if I'd really like that too much, but that's just my perspective on it, I guess. Solemn Strike advantage is being able to be used on hand traps. Yeah, that's true. Yep. Solemn Strike could also be sided against Voiceless Voice and could clear Skull Guardian, Protector of the Voiceless Voice, under the protection of Barrier of the Voice. Okay, that's good to know. Judgment has the advantage of negating spell traps. It could also be like it. Yeah. Although, I'm going to say this. Evenly matched, I don't think is going to be very good. I think if you play against a really smart player or someone who's really capable with the deck, they know how to set up and play around evenly matched. And it's really about IP going into SP, and they just completely make the the evenly redundant. So I wouldn't play evenly. I don't think this is an evenly format coming up. There's no clear answer on whether Solemn Strike or Judgment is a better side deck option, and we would have to observe the metagame trend and see if players would change. I got something special. I think Robbie Cole revealed it, but Solemn Scolding, it would be my choice. Sure, you can only use one, so if you draw multiple, it's useless, but it is essentially both Scolding. Scolding is essentially both Strike and Judgment. Okay, so let's see. It looks pretty standard right now. They're not playing Barong. I know there are some lines that do require Barong, like especially when you get drolled, and if you have access to like the Garunix, that Barong can be like a follow-up turn. Maxi, Callbike, Crossouts, those are standard in their game, but not going to be standard in our game for one simple reason. We do not need to stop the hand traps like that. Maybe Cold Buy would be a good side deck. Crossout maybe a side deck, but other than that, I don't see it being a staple main. Let's see. Veiler. I think Veiler and Impim are actually unironically really weak. Yeah. So I do think they're unironically just weak cards right now, because again, they don't feel like they just impact the game enough. You have to Veiler the Ash on summon, and then they can just get another one out to summon Flameburge. Sure, you can Veiler Promethean Princess, but is it really worth it? By that point, they probably have a lot of already interruption and setup. Oh my gosh, such a long day. But yeah, this list doesn't look too different. They don't play the Oak, which I think is interesting, and they side deck Droll. I think Droll's a better main deck option. And it looks like the OCG is just playing that standard number. They don't use Selene access code, which is interesting. I would definitely want to find room for it. And talents, I think talents might be a main deck option, just based off how powerful the fire decks are. I'm not gonna spend too much time on this. It's just a kitchen sink. You throw everything that's relevant in there and use grass. We don't have that in the TCG. If we get grass, maybe things can change. I think the bestials are terrible. Lancey is an interesting tech. Thrust is interesting. Phantasma is interesting. Okay. Voiceless Voice. Among the 9 Voiceless Voice decks that topped this week, 4 are running the Diviner of the Herald and Tiras Hierarchia package. Okay. 3 are running Dogmatic and Maximus and the Savage package. 1 is running both packages. And 1 is running neither. Wow, okay. I like the idea of one running both of them. That's like way more consistency. The Maximus and the Dear Servant package saw a decline in format last week. Drew Droll. Oh, what? Droll has declined in popularity? I would think it'd be the quite opposite, because Droll is like one of the only things that can effectively stop the Fire King deck, or at least limit them to what they can set up. Interesting. Let's see. Then using the effect, so Diviner effect to send Tira Shark from the deck to the graveyard, then using the effect of Diviner, effect to tribute Diviner and special summon itself. Okay. Diviner of the Herald will then special summon low. Okay. Most decks are running Veilers and Imperms. So is that why we're trying to run Veiler and Imperm now? Because of Voiceless? I feel like that would be incorrect, and you just want to be using the cards that are better against the Fire decks, because the Fire deck is just innately better than the Voiceless deck, at least from our perspective in the TCG. We could be completely wrong, and Voiceless could be a much better deck for us than in the OCG. Oh yeah, and they also have Saravis as well, so I don't even think Veiler and Imperm are very good options. Yeah, okay, so they're using extra, but I think Prosby will probably be the better option, just because we have 3 Prosp and the OCG doesn't. Strike and Judgment in the side deck are also effective against the Diviner of the Herald. Against the Deer, Solemn Judgment has the advantage of negating, while Solemn Strike would like to. Yeah, but no, you would strike the Diviner. Why would you wait? Yeah, there's almost no reason to wait and just strike the Entis. The energy package of the Diviner have their own pros and cons, and the choice to go with which if accordingly due to the popularity of hand traps and tech cards in the metagame, and there is always an option to run both. Yeah, just run both. Diviner and okay, cool. It looks pretty solid. I mean, there's not much really to say. This is just a standard build that plays pretty much everything there that they need to. Maybe just both Diviner and Nadir or the Dogmatic package is not super standard, but I don't know. I like the idea of Super Poly. I think Super Poly is underrated and a great board breaker for the fire decks. Okay, in conclusion, I mean, well, there's not much to say about this. It looks pretty reasonable, I guess. Yeah, there's not really much to say. Conclusion: Fire King takes a 4th consecutive week with 4 times as many tops as branded and voiceless. Actually, it's actually about the same, right? Because they got about 37, but then if you add the Snake Eyes deck, it's like what, 41% versus like the 8%. It's actually almost 5 times as much, because they got 8% to 40. So yeah, it's actually closer to 5 times as many. The strength of the Simple Sports Fire King thing is its resilience against most of the tech cards. There's no clean answer that could address them effectively, so players are divided on Solemn Strike, Solemn Judgment, Anti-Spell Fragrance, or Summon Limit. Summon Limit could be very good, but it could also be very bad. Okay, that's interesting. And I believe there's also another article after this one, which was the Area Championship. So this is a 3v3 team event with 4 rounds of top 8 elimination. Okay. Championship team wins a Yu-Gi-Oh! Area Championship Series playmat for each of the members. Top 6 teams win a quarter-century secret rare Gaia the Fierce Knight. Okay. So no surprise, it was won by two Sinful Spoils Snake Eyes Fire King decks, one Runic. Voiceless was in there, Valiance, Mathemic, and then third was all of that. The top 4 was either the Fire deck or Lab deck, and then yeah, pretty much the rest of the decks were just like fire decks. So it's fire deck dominance. Okay. Winning team who played, and there was one runic there. Okay, so let's see this one. So they're going with anti-spell. This one's playing, yeah, Droll in the main. I like that a lot better. Veiler and Imperm are still there. I don't know if Veiler and Imperm are going to matter, but okay, maybe. As for the extra deck, okay. So they're putting Sprint in the extra deck as that final 15th slot because they want to have the ability to play a timeout or a time win con, which I've been actually saying this a little bit. I think you need to play a win con for time. Yeah, so what's must be some suggestion. I personally wouldn't use Garunix either. I think you just play a second Little Knight because for me, Garunix is like the worst point of interaction. Oh wow, and look at this. One field spell. Maybe I'm onto something. I've been playing one field spell and it's been great. We have the Gamma package here. I guess that's for the spells. Okay, so they look like the same deck, right? Is there any difference? Oh, okay, here's the difference. The extra deck. What do you take out? Okay, so this guy up here played Underworld Goddess, which I actually like Underworld Goddess here. It's a clean out to almost everything in the meta. Alright, it's a clean out to everything. And this guy plays Raging Phoenix, which is like better OTK potential, but none of them are using Selena access codes. That's maybe something interesting to look at. They're both using the Gamma package. Anti-spell, Duster, okay, Talents. I've been thinking about maining Talents this format. It's really good. Nibs are sided. I don't think that's for the mirror because if you play someone who knows what they're doing, Nib is relevant largely. Okay. Oh, and then the runic deck. Okay, this is just... I'm so happy we don't have to deal with this. It's literally like the anti-fire deck. Like, there's nothing to say. We are playing Border, one fountain. Wow, I did not know that OCG has one fountain. Oh, whoop. Okay, and they're playing Shifter, of course, evenly. It's just, oh my god. So it looks like this format is going to be fire deck or deck to beat fire. That's what it looks like. And then you'll have like some voiceless outlier. It feels a lot like tier limit format. And then Valiance. It's the pendulum version of Valiance with a diner crosshair. I just don't like it. I get why they're playing certain cards, but I just think that's really vulnerable. Again, not much to say. They're going with the one island, which I'm actually happy to see it because it's telling me that I was right playing that you play one island post. Like if the OCG players are doing that, I feel like partly self-indicated on my decision that one island is correct. Even though sometimes you may want a second for follow-up, generally you should be using all of your Fire King cards on turn one, and you'll never, like, after you've resolved them, you should have clear advantage in the game. Now, if you get stopped, you will have the island in deck anyways. If you resolve full combo, then you shouldn't need the island for follow-up anyways. So this guy didn't play a sprint in the extra. How are we getting to this little guy here? So that's another Fire King card there. Let me just have a look at that Fire King card first. I think that's the one that dumps the scatter shot to give you that time win. So it's Fire King Avatar Kieran, not the high avatar, not confused with the boss monster. It's the baby one, and it reads as following: if a face-up Fire King monster you control is destroyed by a card effect, except during damage, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is destroyed and sent to the grave, you can send one. Yep, that's exactly how it is. So you destroy this card, and then you get to send the scatter shot, and then that scatter shot burns your opponent for the win in time. Okay. Oh, you guys might not be able to see. Well, let me just put myself on there. Yeah, we'll put myself over there. That way you guys can see it really easily. So it looks kind of standard. I love that 2 Little Knights there. I think that's an excellent choice. But there's no Selene access code, so if it was me here, what I would be thinking about is probably I would cut the Garunix, I would consider cutting the Phoenix and maybe the Raging Phoenix. I'd play what was it now? I'd play Selena Access Code and I'd probably put Underworld Goddess there. Unless we can actually have to learn the Zelantis combos, but it looks interesting. Okay. Oh wow. So okay, this is another guy who's main decking Super Poly here. So this is actually something I've been thinking about. I'd probably cut those two Selena Access Code. Cut this one, Second Little Knight. Let's see. What are we missing here though? Also, there's no Dark Charmer in this extra. That's kind of interesting. There's no Dark Charmer there. Well, let's think about it. What do we think of the format? And if it's going to be Fire decks and Voiceless, do we think Dark Charmer is going to be relevant enough? Although, hold on. Dark Charmer would be relevant enough because everyone will be using Diabellstar the Black Witch, so you can use Dark Charmer, take the Black Witch, and then search your own cards. So that's why you use Dark Charmer, because of the mirror match. Despite the fact it's a fire deck, it's actually very useful. So what I'm seeing is this person is not playing Dark Charmer, Second Little Knight, Selena Access Code. So that's 4 cards there. So you'd have to cut 4 cards out of this to do that. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. I could cut 4 from this to play a Second Little Knight, Dark Charmer, Selena Access Code. What are we missing here? Because I thought I was like way over on this one when I tried to work it out. So let's see. It's Linkuriboh, Dark Charmer, Heater, Sunlight Wolf, IP, 2 Little Knights. Oh wait, there's no Decoy Talker Heat Soul. That's what it is. Right, that's the other one. And there's actually some combo lines you do with Heat Soul to draw an extra card. I don't know if you'd want to do that then. Or none of the OCG lists using that, or did I just not notice it? Let's see. Oh wow, they're not using Decode Talker Heat Soul. Maybe that's a thing. Maybe you don't want to use Decode Talker Heat Soul. Okay, this is yeah. So Phantasma is something they're using. Okay. Shared Ride. Another tech card that I was actually thinking about. That Shared Ride might actually be one of those cards to consider using. If you set it going first, you can still add, but every time your opponent adds, you get to draw a card. So it's like max C for adding, not special summoning. Interesting, yeah. Labyrinth, Dark Barrier Statue. I don't know if I like that because you can still special summon Black Witch, and if you have the Ash Blossom, you have the Bell, you're fine. I'm so tired. I don't know why, but yeah. Yeah, so I don't really think that's necessary, just because, again, Ash, Bell, you're fine. I guess Rollback... No, Rollback has a copy opponent's grave, doesn't it? Just make sure I get transaction Rollback first, right before I keep talking. Rollback. Okay, just make sure I get this right. Attack one normal trap card in your opponent's graveyard. Nope. No, so you cannot target your own. Okay. So that's fine. Doesn't really matter. So if you have Ash, you have Bell, you're fine. This dark thing here doesn't matter. If you open a way to get to Black Witch, again, you are fine. So I don't think that's very good. I agree with Phantasma, I agree with Shifter. Because this is the Snake Eyes version of the deck. This actually looks really interesting. I think this one is a lot more mid, but they can still set up very similar interactions, right? They just don't have the Fire King cards, but the Fire King cards themselves are kind of bricks. So I'm going to say I actually like this deck. Still plays a bunch of hand traps, still has the consistency. Still have the 1-card starters. Ugh. First person I've seen using Soul Release. And that's why I'm actually leaning towards Anti-Spell, because I feel as though Anti-Spell will stop your opponent from using the blowout cards which stop you. If that makes much sense. Or if you Anti-Spell them, what do you lose to? that's not a spell going when your opponent's playing second. And also you cut your opponent off from the Sinful Spoils engine as well then, because they can't activate a spell that turn. So that's why I'm thinking about it. But I'm also thinking about finding a way to like put Sprin Scattershot in the extra. Or maybe this the Kieran itself. Yeah, so this one plays the Sprint in here. Again, it's like, because this one was one of the only people who played 2 islands. And then everything else looks rather simplistic. Yeah, Underworld Goddess. So some are using Zelantis Underworld Goddess, some are not using the Raging Phoenix. Okay, cool. This is one here that used Selene Access Code. Oh wait, no, this is a Snake Eyes deck. Never mind. Okay. Yeah, so like it looks as though they're all using Zelantis, so I guess that makes Zelantis like a staple, but the Raging Phoenix might not be. And then Underworld Goddess is like another potential option. Scattershot seems to be the time win con. Okay, so what I'm thinking about is now, based off of this information, probably need to play the 1 Scattershot in the extra side deck to get that time win con. Maybe it can develop to siding into Dogwoods or Mourners as well. I definitely think the space is legitimately there for where you could have the room to side deck those cards. But yeah, so the OCG is still dominated by fire, but I think what we're learning is more about some of the things that we need to consider when doing deck building. And that's probably going to be the difference between when YCS Vegas happens. I think the team that takes all of these factors into the best consideration is probably the team that's going to come out on top. And it's going to be clear looking at their deck lists that they were just ahead of everything. Okay, so that's really interesting.